So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Eazy Conversations. Thanks a lot to everyone who listened to the last episode featuring the homie Matt and I. Hope you enjoyed listening to us talk about our tips for mental health throughout the colder months, and hopefully, like I said, we gave you some good, different perspectives and maybe ways of coping with these times in that episode. So, now for episode 125 of Eazy Conversations. I'm extremely excited, of course, to be back in the studio virtually with the homie Matt. So what's up, people?
What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great day right now, a great month of December. I'm excited for tonight's episode. It's going to be a really fun episode. It's a topic that's near and dear to both me and Eric. And so, Eric, why don't you tell everybody what we're going to be talking about today?
Absolutely. If you're watching on the YouTube, you can see I'm donning the armor of a Lebanese Santa Claus with the Santa hat right now. So we're going to be going over the Christmas season, more specifically the Christmas movies, which we have done in our holiday special back in 2020, episode 50 exactly. So 75 episodes ago was the last time that we really did a deep dive on the Christmas season. So if you want to check that one out, great episode, go check it out. But for this one, like I said, we're going to be focusing on the Christmas movies and specifically doing a draft of the best out there in the Yule times and just try to put together the best roster we each can. So Matt and I don't know if we want to do snake draft for this. Probably fair that we do it that way. We'll see who's picking first or second. Instead of whipping the wheel out for this one, I thought of something different. Matt, I have a number between 1 and 2 in my head. And just so the people watching on YouTube, like and subscribe if you are watching, you can attest that I'll actually be showing the number that's in my head. So Matt, if you'll be so kind as to maybe close your eyes for 2 to 3 seconds, just so I'll put the number up. All right, you're good to make your guess now, Matt.
Two.
Unfortunately, number 1 was the number that I had up. No, I'm just kidding, Matt. It was number 2. You got it. So
okay. Do I get to decide?
Yeah,
I get to decide, or I just... Okay.
Exactly. So you choose now if you want to pick first or second and third. So your call.
I want you to pick first. I'll pick second, third.
Yep, that's a good call, honestly. Like that first overall pick is pretty tough because in my books there's a ton that can go in here. So if you get 3, you basically get 2 number 1 movies. I don't really think there's a wrong answer with them first overall. I know I'm losing at least a movie that I would want if I take this one, but I'm gonna go with an all-time classic, honestly, one that plays for children and adults alike, in that you can cater to different audiences, pulling from even fans of the gangster movie genre and bringing on a legend of his own right in there. So I'm gonna be picking Joe Pesci's Home Alone first overall.
Oh. Nice, solid. That was gonna be that was yeah. I was gonna go with that one. Well, keep talking about Home Alone for a bit, but like that was like maybe my number 1. Yeah.
I think it's an obvious pick. It's the one that's maybe pandering to the masses, but like I said, it works as number 1 so well because it does just that. Anyone can enjoy Home Alone. It has humor for kids in that seeing the wet bandits just get demolished by our favorite Kevin out there at the end. But that same comedy still works for me now as a 29-year-old watching that. It still absolutely floors me every single time. I know it's coming. And I feel like with age, I'm starting to sympathize more with the wet bandits and what they're going through, even though they're scum of the earth. Honestly, they're horrible people. Objectively, you just feel bad for seeing them going through this mental and physical torture at the hands of young Kevin. But Home Alone, it's an all-timer. A lot of good moments with the family. Just a pretty very poor family towards Kevin. Like some of the behavior towards him is unrealistic as to how like the extents to which they go to exclude him and make him feel like he is the problem and the reason that Christmas is ruined and all that. And it's just an age-old question of like when you're young, you wish like, oh, I wish my family wasn't around, and then the mom even says like, well, you'd be pretty sad if we did disappear, and then that's exactly what happens. Which for at
Yeah.
first it's like the ultimate vacation, like, oh, I'm a kid, I have this house to myself, it's Christmas time, a bunch of sweets, I can do whatever I want, watch movies that I'm not supposed to watch. But after a certain time, you start to get sad and miss the people that you maybe didn't realize you loved as much as you do or should have. So good messages in there, and that's what I love about the Christmas movies in general that we're gonna talk about. There's always amazing and sentimental moments and messages in them. So great family values and stuff. And would be remiss if I didn't mention John Candy as well. Electric performance. It was all improv. I'm pretty sure they shot that in like a day. The
Wow.
Polka Polka King of the Midwest, I believe is what he's known as. But yeah, so Home Alone number one.
That's a fantastic selection, Eric. I just watched it the other day, 5 stars. I was going to say that one if you weren't saying it as number one. The reason I didn't choose to pick first and pick Home Alone is I want to lock in my next two picks. But no, Home Alone has everything. The pacing is fire. Like it's not boring. Like it's one classic scene after another that we all know and love. Yes, the ending, like once the traps start, that's like the highlight. But honestly, the whole movie's a highlight to me. Home Alone 1, far superior than Home Alone 2. It's a great pick, Eric. Um, for my first pick, I'm gonna go with the Christmas movie that I've seen the most amount of times. Seen this every year since I was like 12 or 13 years old. I know you recently watched it, Eric. And it does get better and more charming every time you rewatch it. And I've seen this countless times. It's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Locking that in right now.
Yep.
Chevy Chase is comedy gold. Like I said, every little scene in the movie is charming to me. Like last year watching it with my girlfriend, we recited the whole movie, like the dialogue. We were kind of like competing against each other who like could quote it perfectly. I love this movie, guys. Like, it's to me like it's rapid fire pace too. Cousin Eddie, Randy Quaid, hilarious. The parents, hilarious. Just everything about it. I understand if you haven't grew up on Christmas Vacation, you might find it like you might not understand all the little side jokes and like stuff that only after like the 20th or 30th time you're like, oh yeah, I noticed this thing. But no, Christmas Vacation to me is a perfect Christmas movie. Because of Chevy Chase and the whole family and just the slapstick comedy, everything about it I love. What do you think of the movie, Eric?
Yeah, so for me, it's pretty much a new age Christmas movie that I didn't really grow up watching. Like I had seen it maybe in the past at our Jiddu in situ's house in the basement. Jiddu just laughing hysterically at Chevy Chase's antics. Like even stuff like the car chase at the beginning of the movie, like flying off the snowbank, and they just like him like this stupid idiot and stuff like that. Like it's that kind of comedy caters to a lot of people, and I find it hilarious as well. And yeah, Randy Quaid, cousin Eddie. I remember not being a fan of him, so I've only seen it. I want to say twice in full, like with Andy in the last few years. Like it's her movie or one of her favorite Christmas movies. So I've just really starting to get into the swing of watching it. And Cousin Eddie, I didn't really love him the first time I watched it, but this year I found him really funny, especially the scene where they're out at the department store wherever, and then Chevy Chase offers to buy his daughter some Christmas gifts and all that for his family, and he's like, "Oh, you didn't have to. Or, I insist. We're family." And he's like, "Well, if you insist, here's this list." Like he has a list handy, just ready to go, and like it's pretty funny. And yeah, Chevy Chase when Julie Louis-Dreyfus and her boyfriend or husband there, they have good interactions in the movie. Like, oh, where are you gonna put that big Christmas tree? Bend over and I'll show you. Just stuff like that. It's some pretty good stuff.
Absolutely. Cousin Eddie outside in his bathrobe. Merry Christmas, shitter's full. Yeah. Stuff like that. And like that the actual Christmas Eve night, like when the extended family comes over and it's like the tree burns, all that nonsense, like that's funny stuff. And like I said, if I can remember the dialogue, it's because it's well written and memorable. Great stuff. I had to like include it in my top two. The next movie, I'm gonna say my second pick is already a future. It's already a classic in my opinion. It's 20 years old this year. It's Elf with Will Ferrell. I absolutely love this movie, okay? It grows on me every time I watch it. I watched it when it came out, and I watched 20 years later still, guys. And it's charming. I love James Caan as the dad. I like, I forget her last name, but Mary Steenburgen, I think. But as the mom, she's great. Will Ferrell kills it. I just like Elf. I don't know. Every time I watch it, just flies by. I particularly like the whole, like, Buddy, like Will Ferrell as Buddy, like, he's so naive, like, he believes everything he's saying, and he sells the character. Like, this movie went to work without Will Ferrell. He truly believes what he's saying, and it works beautifully. Even, like, talking to Peter Dinklage, the scene with Peter Dinklage, which is great. I don't know, there's a lot of classic stuff, too. It's a movie that will always be remembered, in my opinion, a Christmas movie that will always be remembered. Zoe Deschanel's great in it. I like the department, like when he works at the department store, that whole scene with the fake Santa, and the manager of that department store is hilarious too. I can quote all his lines. I don't know, Elf, I really like Elf. Don't remember your stance on Elf too much, Eric. I'm pretty sure you like the movie, but do you love it like I do?
Oh yeah, no, I love Elf. Like, I was debating taking it first overall, honestly. Like, I'm regretting it a bit, but knowing that you were going to take Home Alone makes it a bit easier to stomach. Like, I was pretty much between those two and another one that I'm most likely going to take in this run of movies. But no, Elf is one of the GOATs, in my opinion. It's one of my favorites. It's 100% a classic. I think it has been for a while, honestly. Crazy that it's 20 years now. As soon as you said it's 20 years old today, I'm like, I know Elf is gone now. It was obvious. But no, I absolutely love it. It flies by too, like a lot with which I feel like is the case with a lot of these Christmas movies. They're all like an hour and a half long. They never really take a break. There's always some sort of festivities going on, like snowball fights. Like the moment where Michael and Buddy become brothers is a legendary scene where he's just rapid fire machine gun Kellying out there. The jump shot at the end, like diving. Just a lot of gold stuff in there. And another character that I've appreciated more, and I'm saying this with them, like the Wet Bandits, like as you get older, you appreciate other different characters that you're maybe not supposed to like as a kid. Walter Hobbs, hysterical. James Caan. Yeah. Like, I remember never liking his character at all when I was a kid, but now I find a lot of the stuff that he says pretty funny. Like, you can kind of understand him now as an executive who is all business and then has this grown man dressed as an elf claiming to be his son who rolls up into his life during a busy time of the year, stressful, like the holidays, the last thing many of us would want, honestly. And then you get his wife who's all ears, super ecstatic about this, and it's definitely something that would be shocking to many of us. So you can sympathize with where he's coming from and stuff. Yeah. But whereas, like, when you're a kid, you're like, oh, you should just accept him right away. It's your son. Like, what are you doing, man? No wonder you're on the naughty list. So anyway, it's just really cool to see how your perception flips a bit and like how you can find like a character a little funnier that you did when you were a kid. No, Elf, great movie. Santa Claus too. The actor who plays him in there is great. Like, I'm getting too old for this stuff, or just like the Central Park Rangers. Like they're kind of like the Nine and the Ring Wraiths in Lord of the Rings. Yeah. That's kind of how I always liken them to. I don't know if that's an explicit comparison that they're kind of making in there, but that's always where our minds went. But no, Elf, classic. The sing along at the end too. Like, he sees you when you're like, when everyone just slowly starts chiming into the music, it's kind of cringe but good at the same time.
Yes. Even the guards at the Empire State Building are funny. They have like two scenes when they escort Buddy out those two times. Yeah. Just stuff like that. Just like every little thing is good in the movie like that. Agreed. And when he buys Walter lingerie, like he makes a gift for a special someone, like classic. And Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color? You know, like when he answers the phone. It's good shit.
Did you know also that the scene in Gimbals, when he goes there for the first... No, I think it's just the scene in New York when Buddy gets to New York for the first time. I just found this out a few weeks ago. Was all done like man on the street style. They had a few cameras and just filmed Will Ferrell doing his thing in unsuspecting New York. Like, it wasn't a closed set. So a lot of the reactions
Wow.
on a lot of those scenes are from genuinely confused citizens of New York. I don't know if that's the case for all the scenes, but I know that when he's going through like the turnstile or the revolving
Yeah.
doors in one of the buildings, they're just like, what is going on here? Like, who is this freak running in here? And I'm not sure if it's the same for like the congratulations, like best coffee. But some of those scenes, I know that they're all like it's improv, and they didn't know it was a part of a movie. So,
I
just
did not know that.
yeah.
Wow.
So no, great
Love it
pick,
even
Matt.
more.
Great pick.
Thanks.
Now, it's already starting to dwindle down in terms of the great Christmas movies, and that's kind of the where as we go
Yeah.
further down the line, you're gonna see that there's a steep drop off. So I'm gonna we'll obviously go through them one at a time there, but I'm gonna go with what for me is probably my personal favorite movie. I didn't want to take it at one because I figured I could get it at number four, which I just watched the other day. 5 out of 5 Christmas movie in my books. The Santa Claus with Scott Calvin, aka Tim Allen. I blanked on his name for a second, but so
Good pick.
so this is a movie that for for as long as I can remember, is a movie we've watched at Christmas. I've there's again, this is gonna be, I guess, a broken record here for me, but stuff I just keep appreciating more as I'm older, which is specifically Tim Allen in this. I keep finding him funnier and funnier with subsequent viewings. Like that sarcastic comedy just hits. And I think now with having subtitles on, I'm catching a lot more of these lines that not only Scott Calvin says, but all the characters say. Like, for example, at the end, and this isn't necessarily a hilarious line or anything there, but at the end of the movie when Neil, the psychiatrist, finally recognizes, well, they finally sees that Scott is Santa, and when he's flying in the sky over everybody, and he kneels down to Charlie and says, like, I'm sorry, Charlie, you were right all along, blah, blah, blah. And then Charlie says, that's okay, Neil, you were just denying your inner child. And I always thought the line was like, it's okay, Neil, you're just a 9-year-old child or something like that. Like, I never really caught what that line was. And then it
Right.
makes sense that Neil would say, like, you're going to make a great psychiatrist one day, because he's using terms like you're denying your inner child. Like, what 9-year-old talks like that kind of thing? So just stuff that I'm picking up more as with subtitles and then with age too. But great stuff. Scott Calvin, like I said, the sarcasm, pretty much every single scene he's killer with. And yeah, I mean, his order at the when he comes into the office, like bloated in the sweatpants suit, just like every single dessert known to mankind, the ice cold milk. Yeah, no, there's good stuff in there. Bernard also great character.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, the Santa Claus would be my pick. Also, a movie that just flows very smoothly. Hour and a half, tight running time. Love it.
Amazing pace. I love the Santa Claus too. I had it on VHS growing up. Probably missed half the dialogue. Also, I was a kid, so I probably didn't understand half the jokes. I feel so bad. You feel bad at the beginning, you know, like he's trying to do a lot for his kid. His lay ruins dinner. They go to Denny's.
Yes.
Like all that stuff to me was a little like heartbreaking as a kid. I was like, holy shit, this guy's not a good dad. But like now you sympathize more with him. He's trying his best, right?
Yeah.
I love the whole it takes place within a year. Like you see the progression. I like that. I love when he first becomes Santa Claus, gets to the North Pole, like all that. I remember vividly as a kid watching that and being like, this is a really great movie, you know. I forget the little girl elf name, but she's like escorting him around or giving him hot chocolate. I haven't seen this in a hot minute, actually. Due to a rewatch this year. Due for a rewatch for sure. Solid pick, Eric. Tim Allen's great. Maybe be popping up later on in another movie. Who knows? But yeah, good pick. Solid. I knew you'd pick that in your next two. I had a feeling. Curious what your next one is, though.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's one that I don't think I'm gonna get if I wait on this, and might be a controversial pick this early in terms of what is or isn't a Christmas movie, but I think we're both on the same page that it is, and I don't know if this would slide past you, and it's one of my favorites, so I'm going Die Hard, no questions asked here. This might be seen as a
Nice.
high pick for some people and in terms of what else is around, but Die Hard has been, since I've been a young adult, I would say, like a Christmas movie in our family. And I've talked about it before in that it's like not only an amazing Christmas movie, it's just an incredible action and comedy movie as well. Features one of my favorite action heroes of all time, John McClane. But yeah, it's just a very cool setting and the most different Christmas movie we have so far, and probably one of the most different ones of all time in terms of the great movies that people cite as Christmas movies. The action's off the hook. Legendary character in Hans Gruber as well. The setting is sick. The Nakatomi Towers. The dialogue razor sharp. Just to go back to Gruber, like all the comparisons and quotes that he draws from historical figures are very impressive, right? Like he's a intimidating character, and just seeing like the ho ho ho's. I have a gun now. I have a machine gun now. I'm trying to think if there's other specific lines of dialogue that mention Christmas in terms of like the action scenes too. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else needs to be said on Die Hard. I think, like I said, we agree it's a Christmas movie, and I gotta have it on my board. So Die Hard, third pick.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a Christmas movie. I didn't know if it was gonna pop up this early. Like we talked about it during our action episode. Like John McClane is hilarious. Like the line you spat out last time, like when he gives Hans the gun without the bullets, and he's like, "You think I'm stupid?" Like, anyways, it's a Christmas movie for me. Not only because it's set on Christmas, but like the whole like he's trying to save his wife, rekindle with his wife, and it's not too dark and depressing. The movie, it's an action comedy. It's got a good upbeat ending. The hero, you got a good triumphs over evil. Everything's great at the end. Just the only it's in LA. Like there's not really like a snowy setting, but like it doesn't matter. It's 100% a Christmas movie. Just a phenomenal, not just action and comedy, just a phenomenal movie. Period. It transcends the genre, and Bruce Willis is perfect in it. Solid pick, Eric. Like I thought you were going another. Like you're gonna see which one I pick. I thought you were gonna go with this one, but I definitely wanted Die Hard on my list. I'm not gonna lie. It's on my like long list, so you gotta have to scratch that off now. Good pick.
Guess I went for it too high.
Yeah. All right. I'm just gonna go for this one because I think this one is almost as good as the original. I'm taking the first sequel on the list. I'm picking Home Alone 2.
Okay.
I rewatched it. This movie is almost just as good as the first one. I honestly think the finale with the traps is better than in part one, but the pacing and middle of the movie is not as tight and cleaned up as part one. Like it drags it maybe slightly. But Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern equally as funny. Kevin Lost in New York. I like all the little like side quests he's going to, the little side adventures he's having. Like I said, the traps to me are better than part one. Like they're funnier, more laugh out loud. This movie too, same message at the end, but you gotta wonder like how the hell are you losing the same kid for a second time? You gotta believe into all those plot holes. There's a million plot holes in the Home Alone movies. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Yeah, I like this one a lot, Eric. I mean, are you high on Home Alone 2 as well?
So I've only seen it the one time a few years ago, actually. I think it was in anticipation of our last Christmas episode that we did, so episode 50 in 2020. And I did enjoy it. I liked it a lot, more than I thought I would, to be honest. Normally just because, like you said, sequels, or like we all know, sequels to beloved movies, the first overall pick caliber movies, they tend to have high expectations and not always deliver on meeting those expectations or being close to the first one. This one definitely wasn't that far off the mark of the first, and like you said, it can be debated that the traps are even better than the second one. My thing with the traps, I thought they were a little too over the top in the sense that I understand it's a movie, you accept, like you suspend disbelief. But what I do like a lot about the first one is that, okay, a lot of them are over the top as well. It's believable that like these guys aren't dying from these injuries or like are able to fight back. Whereas in this one, I think like there's a couple of times like these dudes should have been dead, like 6 feet
Yeah.
under when Kevin was done with them. Like the bricks from the from the rooftop, if I'm remembering correctly. I want to say Marv gets electrocuted to his bone marrow in this movie, and if I'm remembering correctly, do they not get like squished by like an armoire or something like that? Like
Yeah, tool chest.
yeah, there we go. So a bit much, but it is funny. Like that kind of stuff in movies is definitely some good comedy. And like you said, I'm pretty sure it's a long movie too that goes like maybe even over 2 hours. But you got the bird lady in the mix, just comedy gold with every single look to the camera. She brought it. Unsung hero in that one. So no, it's a good pick for sure. I like it, but that'd be my critique of it. Is I think that it gets a little too lost in the sauce maybe at the end. And like you said, like horrendous parenting on the McAllisters part.
Oh, yeah.
Like I want to say they're like cracking jokes about losing him in the airport again. Like, no, it's not. I don't even know what they said. I saw it 3 years ago, but just brutal parents. They're what the French, sorry, I'm just gonna say they're what the French should call les incompetents.
They're the ones exactly, and yes, it's Looney Tunes and Three Stooges at the end of this one. It's like it's so fake, but that's what I like. They went like they didn't jump the shark to me. They like the third and fourth one to me is where the franchise goes downhill. But like. Okay, what do you do with the sequel? You make everything bigger and bigger and better, and just dial it to 11. Just it doesn't matter. Go all out, and also I want to mention Tim Curry as the hotel clerk, and there's Rob Schneider and the lady. Like they're all hilarious trying to catch him in the hotel, and like when the mom confronts him, Catherine O'Hara confronts him, like, how did you not like? What did you not like? Didn't you confront Kevin? Like, didn't you try to catch him? And he's like, oh, he slipped by us. And he's like, you let like an 11-year-old get by you? Like, how? How does that happen? Like, it's just funny. Just, I don't know. And Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern, a little like scarier and pissed off in this movie. You know, he's got a gun. He just wants to bite his fingers off like he says a lot. Anyways, Home Alone 2, equally, almost as good as the first one. Not my for my fourth pick, I'm going all the way back to the 40s. I'm going with a Christmas classic. I've talked about this movie a bunch of times on the podcast, but it's been forever. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm going with It's a Wonderful Life with Gene Stewart. This movie, only the last 30 minutes is like the Christmas part. Like the climax is set on Christmas, but this whole movie is about a man who sacrifices everything for his family, sacrifices everything for his brother, he sacrifices his personal happiness to help others. And something we should all like strive to be doing, not being selfish and like helping others out. Everything culminates in that climax where he's faced with severe, like a big problem, and he doesn't know what to do. And then the angel comes, and that's where you get basically the last like 30-40 minutes, and he gets to look back at his life, what his life would have been if he never existed. And it's super uplifting at the end. I'm not going to describe the whole movie because everyone should see it or has seen it. It's just a very powerful message in this movie. Basically, like having friends and doing things for others, it's good karma, and it comes back and pays you back in the end. At the end of the day, you know, you're at your funeral. You don't get to bring a U-Haul with you and all your things. You know, life's all about helping other people. So, It's a Wonderful Life is one of my favorite movies of all time. Forget Christmas movies, just period. Like just one of my favorite movies. Period. What are your thoughts on the movie, Eric?
I still haven't seen it, honestly, so
Okay.
I did listen to our old episode there, episode 50, Holiday Special, check it out. I'm just going to keep plugging that one as well. And you did talk highly of it back in that episode, so it's pretty fresh in my mind what the messaging of the movie is. But no, still haven't seen it. Honestly, I'm not sure if it's on any streaming platform. I should look to check it out, but haven't had the chance yet, so it sounds like very powerful stuff in there, and some perhaps perception changing messages in there on how you should treat people and look to be seen by other people too, right, by your actions. And so no,
100%, yeah.
I figured you'd pick that one. I didn't know when, but I knew it was going to be on your list. So good stuff. Now, I got a two back to back here where for me this is probably the last run of movies that I can truly speak on before I start making reaches and like movies I've seen a couple of times and then even dipping into different like questionable picks. Like you thought Die Hard was questionable, there's way worse on my list. But I will go with one another sequel. You mentioned it earlier. I'm 100% have to take the Santa Claus 2. That's another one of my favorites. I think it's when we did our sequel episode with Justin Mocktinger, great episode, check that out as well. That is another one of my favorite sequels if we're taking out like the big franchises, right? Like your Marvels, your Star Wars, all that stuff, Lord of the Rings. So the Santa Claus 2, I think, does what any good sequel does, builds on the universe. In this one we're introducing a lot of mythological creatures or characters, I should say, in the the holiday spirit. Like you got the Easter Bunny, Cupid, Mother Nature, the Sandman. I know they're not extremely important in the movie there, but I'm just talking about how it gets bigger. And then you got the Mrs. Claus in there, so he's got to find a wife. Everything's just sped up, like you said. In the Santa Claus, you get a year to see this character development, but in this one, it's really sped up, and I forget exactly how many months, but not that many. It's if anything, it could be down to a matter of days. In that they only have the month of December for Scott to find a wife, and there's a lot of funny moments in there about like I like also the relationship now between between Scott and Neil and Laura, where there's a lot more conflict in the first one over like the parenting with Charlie and how he's like making Charlie seemed delusional, and Scott then goes delusional and playing into the Santa Claus character. Now they all know he's Santa, so it's a really cool family vibe that they got going on. Principal Newman, good addition to the cast as well. Stern, yet has some charm to her as well. Used to believe in Santa Claus, and Scott's just trying to build that back into her and then swindle himself a wife in the nick of time. And you get the toy Santa Claus, who's a dynamic foil to our main character as well. So I'm just up all night thinking about all those rules. Just a stickler for the rules if there ever was one. So I don't really love what they did with Bernard in this one, though, I will say. Like in the first one, he's maybe more dry character and I would say cooler. In this one, he's just a total wingnut and like a goofball. They really make him look really cheesy. Like, and I think that sums it up really. I don't need to get into details here. So kind of besmirched the great name that was Barabbas in our favorite head elf. So Santa Claus 2, no-brainer in my books.
Yeah, I have an early memory of watching this movie with you and Zach, Eric, maybe babysitting you guys like back in the day. That's when I was first introduced to the movie. Like it's really clear memory in my mind. I really like this movie too. I have a lot of nostalgia for it as well. You hit the nail on the head. I don't know what else to add to that. It's a great sequel. Sadly the third one did not live up to the hype. Like the second one did a great job of following the Santa Claus, which was a huge hit and a great movie. So that doesn't happen often. So great pick, Eric. I was going to nab that one eventually. So
like you said, tipping your hat in that Santa Claus 3, not great. Horrible movie. I'm not picking it either. Very disappointing. I've only seen it the one time in theaters. Was very let down by it. And just looking at reviews on it today, like it's sitting at like a 17% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So that's as bad as it gets. And I just remember not being a fan of really any of the characters in the movie. I didn't like Martin Short as Jack Frost, if that's even who he plays. It just wasn't it. Speaking of wasn't it, just to close out this series, I guess, the new show they got on Disney Plus is just putrid. I don't know if it hits for kids or something. Maybe if I saw it as a kid. Same with the Mighty Ducks show that they made on Disney Plus was not it for me. But maybe I'm just not the target audience anymore. But yeah, no, that's the Santa Claus show, I think is what it's called. Don't know how it got renewed for a second season, but I think they're axing it after this one. So don't bother. Have you seen it, Matt, actually?
Actually, I have not. I'm just going off with like what my sisters told me and everyone that's watched it. So, no, I haven't seen it. I can't pull that trigger.
Okay. Good call. Okay, so last pick for me now, till we throw it back to you. I'm gonna go. So I'm in between a couple, but I think the one that makes the most sense in that I saw it the most as a kid. Haven't seen this movie in a long time, but maybe this one speaks to an older generation, the parents who threw this on the VHS with their kids to watch. I don't know. I don't think it's a very long movie either, so very digestible. Maybe a bit creepy to some, but I remember this is one we watched all the time. I'm going How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the animated version, not the Jim Carrey version.
Nice.
Which I feel like maybe we'll see later, who knows. But I'm definitely going animated over Jim Carrey here.
Classic.
So, I'm a fan of that kind of animation. Well, I'm a fan of any kind of animation, honestly, in movies and TV. And there is something, I think, kind of charming about that, like, 2D, kind of hand-drawn and computer animated, though, that just moves like that and nice colors. Good message at the end, too. Like, the Grinch is a character that is a grouch. Obviously, it's in the name. Hates Christmas. But there is some pain there, and he has a tragic backstory. And I think they explore that more in the Jim Carrey version. But that's a movie I haven't seen in such a long time, and it wasn't really a classic for us. So you can take it in the last round if you want, Matt, because I ain't taking it. But
all right,
this one is one that we always watched. Like I said, I haven't seen this in like probably 20 years, honestly. But when I was going through the list of movies, I'm like, you know what? Let's go How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And just because I saw it so many times. The only scene I can vividly remember right now is him pushing his sleigh up that tiny mountaintop that I don't know how it could support anything. It's like it's a pin if there ever was one. And his heart growing bigger. I think those are like the heartfelt, pun intended, moments in the movie where he finally turns it around and he saves the citizens of Whoville or Uville. I think Whoville though. But yeah, and then him just stealing all the gifts. It's all coming back to me slowly. I might have to watch this year. So yeah, that's my pick, fifth one.
It's a great pick. I watched that. It's a short film, we'll say, but I watch it every year. So easy to watch. Narrated by horror icon Boris Karloff. He's got a great voice. He narrates the quotes from the book. Amazing. Actually, there's no dialogue in the movie. It's just narration. It's amazing. It's like when the Grinch is like sneaking through the houses and he's like a little snake like sneaking around. Like it's a great film. To be honest, it kind of escaped my mind for this list. Maybe I was only thinking of like live action stuff, or I don't know. You kind of snuck that one by me, Eric, and I kind of like that you did that because I don't even know if I would have thought of it. But good stuff. I'm definitely gonna watch it this year. I watch it every year. My girlfriend's daughter loves it. She likes all the Grinch movies, actually. That's actually my next pick is the animated Grinch movie with Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm just joking.
Oh, okay.
Not so high on that one. There is a second animated movie though.
I was gonna say, isn't that Benedict Cumberbatch? Is that the 2018 one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's animated and it's the third it's the third best after the animated, the one you just picked and the Jim Carrey one.
Okay.
It might only be the third one too, ever. So okay, my fifth pick. I'm going with a classic Christmas story that's been done literally 1,000 times. Now, which version of the story am I going to take? So the story that's been done 1,000 times is A Christmas Carol, meaning the Ebenezer Scrooge character being visited by the ghosts of the present, the past, and the future. And the version I'm going to pick is a little different. I'm going to go with the Bill Murray Scrooged from the 90s because I think Bill Murray is amazing in this movie as like a prick and a dick at the beginning. I like how it's in the TV industry. I like the setting of the movie. They modernized everything. That's why I'm picking Scrooged. It's a classic tale of, you've seen this 100 times, a classic of like prick at the beginning, then he sees the light, but how how it happens in the movie with the ghosts and like them like explaining and showing to him like what he's causing and what he's done. You know, we could all like if we could all look back and like see our behavior, we might be appalled too at some stuff. I'd like to think I'm like we're nowhere near like an Ebenezer Scrooge, but we know people that are, you know. So it's a classic story. Scrooge is a really good '90s movie, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good Bill Murray movie. Bill Murray's perfect for this role because you just want to punch him in the face. He's got that face, you know. Everyone loves Bill Murray, but he can like play an asshole perfectly and a prick. So have you seen Scrooge, Derek?
Yep, saw it the one time a few years ago now. I did like it actually. I remember my parents had it on the VHS. I don't know if we ever tried watching it as a family, but or they might have just known that we wouldn't really be like at the age to appreciate or enjoy it at all, honestly. So never. Yeah, like I said, I don't really remember watching it with them, but I remember seeing that box cover at our house back in the day. But no, I liked it a lot, honestly. It was funny, good messages, like you said. And I don't know about that Bill Murray take. I think he's not loved, is he? Like I feel like people think he's kind of an asshole, or he is an ass and maybe gets away with it. I don't know. Maybe that's like I'm getting him mistaken with Chevy Chase. I think they both kind of have that known like attitude, and maybe Bill Murray can get away with it a bit more because like you said, he is looked at as someone who's like, oh, I love Bill Murray in all his movies, so I'll look past that attitude or whatever. But he did a great job in this. I had a feeling you were gonna when you started talking about this character. Was there one though that you would have, and maybe you'll take it later on there, but in my mind, like when I think of that character, Ebenezer Scrooge, like that's the movie I think of right away, Scrooged.
Yeah, me like I've watched the old classic from the '40s, but like that's super dated. That's the one my mom watched. It's called The Christmas Carol, and it's super short movie. Like it gets right to the point. I prefer like more of a story, like in Scrooged.
Yeah.
But I think you nailed it with Bill Murray. There has been like the older he's getting, he's making more comments and like not coming off kind of as an jerk in interviews and stuff, but like so many people loved him in the 80s and late 70s that like we get a free pass from us. Chevy Chase doesn't get a free pass. Like he apparently he's an asshole too, kind of like his character in Community. Okay, we're gonna keep going. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next movie, I'm going into the horror genre now. I've waited long enough. Okay, this is a Christmas horror classic. And it's not that old. It's like from 2015, I think. It's called Krampus. What makes this movie is the funny writing and the characters in the movie. You got Adam Scott and Toni Collette as one couple, and then the brother is played by David Koechner, which like he's a hilarious actor, you know, from Anchorman and among like a million other movies. Just their banter at the beginning when the family comes over, the two families meeting. Is like almost like Christmas Vacation-esque. It's just like super funny dialogue, and before any of the horror starts in the movie, you get like a Christmas Vacation-esque vibe. You know, the cousins don't really like each other, the couples don't really like each other. You got Bertha from 2.5 Men, the housekeeper lady. She's like the old aunt in the movie. She's hilarious, says like funny things, but then it turned into a horror movie with like it's a fantasy horror movie, you know, like there's Krampus, who's like the anti-Santa Claus, comes during a blizzard, and then it becomes really like scary. But then the movie switches tones yet again to more comedy horror with over the topness, which to me works perfectly, makes the movie not boring. There's tonal switches, like I said, but it all the notes hit in the movie, and it becomes funny again. It becomes horrific but kind of funny. And the ending, super un-Hollywood-esque. I'm not going to say what the ending is, but it's not what you expect. There's some twists, and to me that's what cements it as a horror classic. It's not predictable. It's a fun movie, good characters, well written. That's Krampus, 2015.
Okay, right on. As soon as you said horror, I had a feeling that's where you were going, but then you also said it was a newer one, so I'm like, all right, I'm pretty sure this is what that is. So no, good pick. I haven't seen it. Obviously, I've heard of it. I know that it's pretty well loved in the horror community, so maybe one to throw on this month there while it's the season. Man, maybe to get cozy and get a little scared, a little jump scare under the covers, who knows. But okay, that's a good call. I'll check that one out. Nice pick. My next one, complete opposite of horror. Well, I mean, you're saying that there is some comedy in this one, so this one's a full blown comedy, and it's one that you might be thinking after the first few movies that I've had, like that this one's kind of out of left field. In that I've only seen it the one time, but I remember enjoying it quite a bit. And if anyone hasn't seen it, I would recommend for a good laugh in the Christmas season. Rated R. It's called The Night Before, starring I got Seth Rogen, you got Anthony Mackie and Joseph Gordon-Levitt as the trio leads, and they're from this is why I'm saying that this might be seen as a stretch and that I can hardly describe what happens in this movie, but it was hilarious. Like, it caught me off guard and how funny it was. There's a couple of scenes like with Seth Rogen, like he tries to incorporate a lot of his personality in his movies, like his love of rap, for example, and just stoner culture. So there's a lot of that intertwined in there, and a lot of very memorable scenes. If you've seen the movie, you'll know which ones I'm referring to without spoiling anything there. And even Anthony Mackie has a pretty wild scene in the movie with, I want to say, the girl who plays, oh my god, I forget her name, but she's in Game of Thrones, and she's one of the two siblings who help guides Bran beyond the wall. I'm pretty sure it was her anyway, unless I'm completely mistaken. But very funny stuff in that movie. Strong recommend. It's like three old friends, I'm pretty sure three high school friends or whatever, who always go hard the night before Christmas. And then maybe one of them is like not really at that same place in his life now, like he has a kid or something. Maybe it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He just looks like that kind of guy out of the three of them that would be him. I don't really know. But there's some really good stuff in there. It's on Netflix. Check it out. The Night Before. Have you seen it, Matt?
I have, and I really like it. I think Seth Rogen's like freaking hilarious in it. The church scene where he has like his Jew shirt on, his sweater, and he's like on mushroom. He's on drugs or something. That whole scene is gold. Love the premise of the movie. They're trying to find this party, I believe. Yeah. There's even a Michael Shannon like cameo. Like Michael Shannon's hilarious in the movie. Right. I've only seen it once. I remember it ripped by, hilarious. Didn't even think about it for this. I'll be honest, went under the radar for me. Good. That's a good pick, Eric. That's a hidden gem in my opinion, right there. Comedy gold. It's funny. It's a movie that not a lot of people talk about. I bet you this movie picks up momentum down the road, and will be like one of those rated R Christmas comedies, because there's more than we think out there. But yeah, good pick, Eric. Solid.
Thank you. So now, probably the most off the board pick so far, and if you want to debate it and say it's not a Christmas movie, I'm all ears, Matt. But I would pick Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. What are your thoughts on me taking that at this point in the game?
I don't think it's a Christmas movie at all. I think the Christmas stuff in the first movie, though, is great. Like, there's some really good Christmas stuff in there, but like, I think if you add that to you can keep it if you want, but I don't think it strengthens your list, in my opinion, because it's not a Christmas movie. So you can switch it out if you like, or keep it in. It's a let's be real, phenomenal movie though. Yeah. The first movie is actually, this is a movie that gets better every time you watch it, because it's always looked at as one of the worst Harry Potter movies. I disagree. It introduces everything perfectly. It's not boring at all. But yeah, what do you think, Eric?
So,
you keeping it?
And I'll also say that for me, it's more of a fall movie, but I do know that people love watching the Harry Potter movies during Christmas. So there is some sort of association that people make during the winter months that, hey, I want to rip the Harry Potter movies. And where does it start? Philosopher's Stone. I think that we definitely get away from the Christmas theme or season as we progress through the movies, like as it gets a little darker, if you will. But the Philosopher's Stone also bookends the ending of the saga in that, for a different reason, in that it introduces one of the three Deathly Hallows right off the rip. And when does Harry get that? At his 11th-year-old Christmas party. And that's probably the best gift anyone's ever gotten at Christmas, an invisibility cloak. And that kind of sets our characters down a path that they probably never are able to go down without the gift that Harry received from his Santa Claus, a.k.a. Dumbledore, in the Philosopher's Stone. And obviously, there's a little scene at Christmas. It's actually the first time in his life that Harry actually gets Christmas presents. He's not even really familiar with that holidays, just knows it by name and not really by spirit. So the Weasleys are able to really get him into the Christmas spirit. More getting than giving, I want to say, in this one. But then going forward, Harry's then able to realize the importance of, okay, I've gotten a lot now, I have to give now. So I look at this movie as having really instilled the values of St. Nicholas in Harry Potter, the Philosopher's Stone. So, you know what, just for shits and gigs, let's keep it on the board here. Very contentious. Might lose me the draft, honestly. But I think it sparks some debate and controversy, conversation, all that we strive to do on the podcast here.
I'm going to be helping your case right now because you've evoked some stuff in, like, well, first of all, what you've said actually helps defend your position that it's a Christmas movie. It was really good what you said. Also, I'm remembering reading the books. Christmas, they make every year, like, Christmas is a big deal at Hogwarts. Some of the students go home, some of them stay, and there's a lot of, like, festive stuff in the Harry Potter world. In terms of, there's a lot of gift giving. Like, I remember reading the books, and that's like a thing where, like, giving each other gifts. I'm like, oh, Harry's got to find a gift for Ron, for Hermione, for his friends. Right. Like, Christmas is never omitted in the books. It's always part of the school year, and they make it a point. Do they show everything of that in the first movie? No, but there is a lot of Christmas in Harry Potter. You're not wrong, and what you said helps your case. So yeah, no, keep it for sure.
Isn't there like a white elephant party?
Pardon me?
Don't they have like a white elephant gift exchange in the fourth one where like the Beauxbatons and Durmstrangs are supposed to like, exchange gifts, and that they strap that from the movie, so that's a darn shame. But yeah,
Victor I believe you're right. Yeah.
Books, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm okay. Like, you're saying Harry Potter 1, but like if you Harry Potter, just like it's get cheap, but like shove the whole franchise in that pick, and like you got a stronger case.
Well, yeah, Goblet of Fire was my next pick, so it works perfectly out for me then. But I'm just kidding.
There you go. Let's just include all of them in Mobile One. Just Harry Potter franchise. You're not out of left field. Like, there's some Christmas in there, so I don't mind it. For my next one, I'm just gonna write that down. Okay. My number 7. Okay, there's no way this movie should not be on my list, but there's something cheesy, and this is a rom-com, folks, first of all. And I've watched it since it's come out, like since I was like, I don't know, 12 or 13 with my parents. This movie really shouldn't work, okay? It's super mushy and cheesy. This is Love Actually, folks. This is the movie with the interconnecting stories and all. Great actors in the movie and actresses. This is the one where it all comes together at the end, and every story is like connected by someone. But like you got like Hugh Grant, Emma Thompson, Alan Rickman, naming off Harry Potter actors now. It's got Colin Firth. All the everyone knows this movie, Love Actually. What I like about it is, yes, it's mushy, but like to me, it's like puts a smile on my face. I do laugh a lot during the movie. It's got the classic scene with Rick from The Walking Dead, like holding the signs out to Keira Knightley, declaring his love, like all that stuff. I don't know. It hits home for me. Maybe I love that cheesy romance stuff deep down inside of me. The Hallmark, like I've always been told I'm a little Hallmarky sometimes. I like the romantic stuff. Definitely way more than my girlfriend. But yeah, I actually really like Love Actually. It's not something I'll like admit or like announce to the world, but I guess I'm doing it right now. So what do you think of Love Actually, Eric?
I've only heard good things. As again, I've not seen this movie, but I feel like I would like it, honestly. Andy's seen it. She loves it and thinks I would like it as well. And I'm sure I would, honestly. Like, I do like those kind of comedies. Like, rom-coms are underrated. I feel like they also get mislabeled in that, like, it's, I don't know, like, corny or what. And even if it is corny sometimes, like, you know what you're signing up for, and you just go along for the ride. It's fun to watch. It's funny. And at the end of the day, it's feel good. Sometimes there's predictable formulas in that everything's going well for the couple, the new couple, or the two new lovebirds or whatever, and then there's a conflict at the end, like someone lied. The whole time we know, like, oh, they should be telling them this, and then it finally comes out not how they would hope it does, and then in the last 15 minutes of the movie there's the mega proposal of I don't know, reclamation project to get the girl or the guy back, and always works out. But
Yeah.
we always love it in
Yeah.
the end. So I don't really know how it all plays out in Love Actually, but definitely do want to see it at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, like the biggest thing I like of the movie too is I like movies with a big cast, an ensemble cast, and then you jump around so much. Like, okay, we're following this character for 5 minutes, now this one for five, now this one for 10, now this, like, it's super quick pace. And then when there's connections, it's even better. Movies like Magnolia or anyways, a lot of movies like that in the 90s and early 2000s. Everything is connected in the end. Anyways, my next pick, I'm going the rated R comedy route now, and my parents had no business letting me rent this movie when I was like 13. It's Bad Santa with Billy Bob Thornton. This movie hit home with me because it was like you were the coolest kid in school if you were like, yeah, I watched Bad Santa. Like, oh my God, how did you get a copy of it? It's like F-bomb every 2 minutes. This movie is one of a kind in my opinion. Billy Bob makes the movie. I don't know if everyone's seen it or not, but like him and his buddy like basically rob the mall. They do the Santa Claus show every year, and like he's a scum. Billy Bob is like a skis-ball in the movie, sleazeball, sorry, deplorable. But like this is something I like about. You feel bad for the loser, I guess. And then like that kid in the movie is very annoying at first, but kind of grows on you. I mean, I've seen the movie so many times. But like everything Billy Bob tells to the kid just has me in stitches. I'm almost like fall off the couch type funny to me. This movie is. John Ritter and Bernie Mac are great, trying to unmask him, trying to like figure out what's up with this guy. To me, Bad Santa, all about that super vulgar dialogue. It's super memorable for that. And Billy Bob's performance, honestly. So that's Bad Santa. Have you seen it, Eric?
So watched it years ago again. Had started it, watched like the first 25 minutes and shut her down because just weren't into it, honestly. And I wonder if the time at which you see it for the first time plays a factor in that. Like maybe if I'd seen it when I was younger and found it funnier, then I would have that attachment to it right away that makes me want to watch it every other time. Because for me, seeing it the first time, I just found there was too much swearing, and it was kind of normalizing it and taking away from, like, when you hear, like, for example, in Christmas Vacation, you get one F-bomb, but it hits because of the scarcity of it, and like it truly punches because you only have the one. Whereas when you have an F-bomb, like every second word, like in Peacemaker, for example, where that's literally the quick reply that all these characters have when they're talking to somebody is throwing an F-bomb in there. It just isn't funny at a certain point. And I feel like that's kind of what was going on in Bad Santa. Just abuse of vulgar language. And like I said, I love swearing in comedy. I find it can be effective, but in this it was just too much, and was never really interested in it to start. So didn't even see like the kid, didn't even get to the kid, or maybe we didn't, stopped very early. So I think missed probably the better stuff and probably even the funnier moments in the movie. But it's just and again, I fall into this trap sometimes of not being hooked in a movie and wanting to stop watching it right away. Like I watched a movie a week ago now, Bottoms. It's on Prime Video. Definitely recommend. And 15 minutes in, I was like, all right, not into this at all. This is not funny. I'd heard it was good, but just wasn't feeling it. But powered through and ended up being a great movie. So it depends on the situation, but for that day, anyways, Bad Santa just wasn't really it for Andy and I. So that'd be my take on it. I know it's I feel like it's a minority opinion. I know most people love it, but that was just it for me.
But 100%, when I saw the movie, played a huge part. Because like watching the movie, I'm thinking of me as a young teenager, and like nostalgia plays a part in all the movies on my list, and so I can't help it. So yeah.
No, that's.
I think totally you got number. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm not gonna go with another Harry Potter style movie, so I'm actually gonna go with kind of a new age movie and a shorter one at that. in the a cinematic universe that I truly love that's been in a rocky road the last few years. So that would be the
Oh,
Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. So
okay.
maybe again a reach could have maybe got this as my last pick. Who knows? But I did want to get some diversity here, and again only saw it the one time, but quite enjoyed it. I found that it had good cheer, good values, and we're seeing different. We're following now mostly Drax and Mantis in like Mantis is holding on to this new information that she knows that she's um, Peter's sister, isn't sure how he's gonna take it, wants to give him the best Christmas present ever, so gets him Kevin Bacon from Earth. To which he's perplexed, like, "What are you doing? You can't kidnap someone for Christmas." I want to rewatch it, honestly. It just dropped last year, but I found it was super enjoyable and a nice bridge also in between, I think, Thor or Endgame and Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So some important stuff in terms of character development and seeing where everyone's at in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And yeah, just a lot of funny moments too, like Drax and Mantis in the clubs in Hollywood just partying, like getting hammered. Not something you'd expect to see ever in a Marvel movie, especially with those two characters. So James Gunn did a great job in getting us two unlikely characters together for this long of a stretch in a movie. So Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. What are your thoughts on that one, Matt?
I completely forgot about this holiday special. I really enjoyed it. I remember watching it with my mom, and it builds it so much character development with Drax and Mantis that like it enhanced my experience of Guardians 3, like watching
Mm.
the holiday special before. You get more of the characters we know and love, and the whole Kevin Bacon plot line's hilarious too. So like big fan of it. Honestly, didn't even think of it for the list, Eric. So you kind of snuck that by me, but in the best way possible. Like you locked it in, and you've really surprised me actually. So good job.
All right, well, are you ready for this pick now? This is probably going to surprise you even more. I've talked about this movie on the pod as well. I've seen it just the one time. Again, this might be just diversifying the reach that I have with my list here. But I truly enjoyed this movie. I thought it was really good. And based on what I'm seeing online, this does qualify as a Christmas movie. But I would say 2019's Greta Gerwig's Little Women would be my ninth round
Oh,
pick.
love it.
Great movie, honestly.
Yeah.
Really, not introduction to Florence Pugh, but movie that I was probably a really big fan of her of her character. I know she's meant to be annoying, but definitely has again a lot of appeal to her in the character that she plays, and just I think a lot of her personality shines through in like all of her portrayals that she does in her movies. But I was like a big fan of her in that. It was the first time I saw Saoirse Ronan in a movie as well. She was dynamite in there as well, and Emma Watson. So just to bring it back to Harry Potter again, that's two for two for her for classic Christmas movies now. And Timothy Chalamet in there, great, interesting character and dynamic that he has with Saoirse Ronan and Florence Pugh. So Amy and Laurie, or he's Laurie, she's Amy and Meg, I think. I forget. But anyway, I've seen this movie one time. But Little Women, a lot of the movie does take place during Christmas. You got there's a big Christmas scene in there that happens anyway in terms of the family dynamic that changes a little bit on Christmas. Very touching moment and emotional. A lot of emotional moments in there too, right? Like with the war times and getting some sad news at Christmas, some good news at Christmas. So I do feel like big moments tend to happen around the holidays. It spans many years though. Like you get a lot of time jumps in this movie as well. So I love the way the story is told. You're starting off in the present or in the future. I think in the present, then you come back to the past and slowly build your way back up there. So great movie. I'm pretty sure you've seen it, Matt. Thoughts on Little Women?
Yeah, I saw it at the theater, and I really liked it. Went in with zero knowledge of this story. I know it's a book, and it's been remade, like it's been done before. I really liked it because of the young actresses, Emma Watson, Saoirse Ronan, and Florence Pugh. Like, First of all, Saoirse Ronan has been killing the game since she was a teenager. Like, she's been in movies since then. And when we look back on her career, like, she's going to have an amazing career because she already has one. And she's, like, barely 30 years old.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of, like, she's in a movie called Lady Bird directed by Greta Gerwig with Timothée Chalamet again. She's great in that movie, Lady Bird. High recommendation for that.
Yeah, I do want to see it.
Enough about her. It's a really good movie, good period piece. I never thought it'd be on your list, Eric. Again, you surprised me. This is even more surprising than Guardians of the Galaxy because I don't think of Little Women as a Christmas movie, but now that you explained it, I can see that. So, very good pick. I'm curious to see what your last pick's going to be now.
Probably going to go traditional for the last one, but
we'll get to that after my picks. Honestly, I have a lot that I want to cram in my last two picks, but sadly I can't. I only have two, so I'm not gonna have any more horror films because I had a bunch of Christmas horror, but we're gonna go more straightforward. We're gonna go with more of a newer movie. I didn't check when it came out, but it's definitely in the last 5 years. It premiered on Netflix. It's an animated movie, and it's called Klaus with a K. I've seen this movie 3 times now. It's really good, about like a mailman who gets sent to the Great North to like a job nobody wants. Like, he's an entitled, spoiled, like his dad is the head of the postman in one of the sectors, and he's very silver spoon, like fed with the silver spoon, and voiced by Jason Schwartzman, who does a great job. Goes up there. The villagers hate each other. There's like 2 different sides, 2 different factions and families in the village. So he starts a new life there, and he starts changing the lives of the people around him. And then Santa in the movie is, well, not Santa, but the guy who starts building toys. Hopefully it's not a spoiler. I mean, it's not a spoiler at all, but J.K. Simmons does the voice of the Santa figure in the movie, and he's great. And he's got a lot of remorse and shit that's happened in his life, and their interactions are amazing. Anyways, I think it's a great movie, and the last 10 minutes are magical. So that's Klaus. Have you seen it, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, great movie. I'm regretting not taking it. It was on my list, honestly. Like, I should have taken Little Women. What am I doing here? Should have taken Klaus and then Little Women in the last round, but tried to get fancy. You know, I didn't think you would take Klaus. I was definitely looking at that as my last pick as well. Or just, like I said, it was on my board. Love that movie. Only seen it the one time, and just hearing you talk about it makes me want to rewatch it, honestly. Fantastic movie. I think it won awards as well. Like, very highly rated movie. Strong recommend. Yeah. Netflix Orig. They swing and a miss quite often. See.
Oh yeah, they do.
I don't know. There's a bunch of those bad Santa movies, pun intended, out there, and Klaus is not one of them. Great pick. That's value in the 9th round.
Yeah. I remember when it came out, there was a lot of like positive reviews, and you're like, "Holy shit! Okay, you got to check it out."
This might have won you the draft.
The last pick, I don't know. Maybe people don't like this. I like this movie. I don't know what people's opinion of this movie is. You didn't think Tim Allen would be back, but he's back.
No.
This is
no.
I'm picking it. Christmas with the Cranks.
Oh my God! And me saying you won the draft, you might have just lost it with that one.
I highly disagree. You know why? I was on the same side as you when I first saw this movie. I wasn't a big fan. I thought it was long and boring. As an adult, rewatching Christmas with the Cranks, I freaking love Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis. I can relate to them. Like, him not wanting to do any Christmas stuff and just going on vacation. Like, I feel like that some days. Like, I can totally relate with them. I just like the premise and the fact that, like, they're rushing at the end to give the daughter the perfect Christmas, because at the end of the day, that's what they care most about, is like doing things for their daughter. But yeah, to me, it gets funnier the more you watch it, Eric, and the jokes are more relatable when you're older. Like, I watched it as a kid and I thought it was terrible. I love it now. Tim Allen, he's a comedy genius. He's hilarious. And Jamie Lee Curtis, I love her. Yeah, Eric, I don't know, how many times have you seen the movie? Like, you got to give it another shot, I think.
Okay, so that's the thing. Only seen it the one time. So when did that drop? Like 2006 or something? I want to say in that ballpark.
5 or 6.
So we rented it at Rogers, watched it as a family. None of us liked it. Like, my parents were not a fan either. So maybe it's like a thing with my family. We weren't a fan, but I don't know. I'll have to maybe give it another shot. But like the only scene I can vividly remember in that movie was the Botox scene. Like he gets Botox and, anyways. But even at that, I don't even remember what happens. And now you saying it's Jamie Lee Curtis, I thought it was Christina Applegate that's in this movie. So maybe I'm just getting completely mixed up here, or I'm maybe thinking of just another Christmas movie, I guess. But yeah, no, poor memory literally on this movie, and I don't really look back on it fondly. But maybe you're saying it's better served upon microwave reheated the next day, second viewing. So we'll see if it pops up somewhere down the line. Interesting pick. Very
They grows on
contrasting
you.
with Klaus, right? It's a
Yeah. Yeah. No, the
Academy
movie grows
Award
on you.
revered.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. So solid list, Matt. I'll go now. Last pick for me. Like I said, I would have loved to add Klaus to this roster, but I'll probably go like in a similar vein in the animated realm. So I'll go back to grassroots here, and gonna go with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer actually. So again, old school. This is like kind of some claymation action we got going on here. Different animation style. Big fan of it. Is this the movie with the abominable snowman? Is my question. Think so.
I can't remember.
Just blindly making picks here. I don't even know what I'm taking. One sec. I think so though. That'd be my guess. I remember the little elf. Kind of looks like a I don't know, preppy blonde kid. And then I mean Rudolph, it's kind of a tragic story, honestly, just about bullying and because not fitting in because you're a bit different and immediately being turned to like an undesirable other. So very sad and unfortunately relatable in a lot of instances where we'll see people who are not really inclusive of others, and at the end of the day, like if we do give people who are maybe a bit different than us a chance, they can shine brightest or the brightest of us all. And that's just maybe out of the larger group's own insecurities that someone's not the same as them. They're like, oh, what if we give this person the time of day, it would mess up the dynamic and like comfort that we all have. So I don't know, like a lot of this I'm just making up off the top of my head here, but I feel like it fits. So I think Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, there's a beautiful story in there, and like I said, it's sad, and there might be an abominable snowman in there that used to terrify me when I was a kid. So I'm gonna close it off with that. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in the 10th round. Lock it in.
I probably have not watched it in like 25 years. I mean, we had the VHS of this, and I used to watch it when I was a kid and really liked it. The universal message of like, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. You know, like it's got all that stuff there. And what you said was good, Eric. It did work. Oh, yeah. Even if it was off the top of the dome, it doesn't matter. It worked. Yeah, good pick. It's a classic. That and Frosty the Snowman, like those were the back-to-back on the VHS. So.
Was in between those two, but yeah, I remember like they either on the, like you said, on the VHS or on TV. You're sitting down on the couch, you're watching one, you're watching the next. Just super glue yourself on the recliner and let the good times roll. So great list overall. I'll do a rundown of all of our picks. So I took Home Alone, Santa Claus, Die Hard, Santa Claus 2, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, The Night Before, all of the Harry Potter movies, but specifically Philosopher's Stone, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, Little Women, and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So Matt, you got The Christmas Vacation, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Elf, Home Alone 2, It's a Wonderful Life, Scrooged, Krampus, Love Actually, Bad Santa, Klaus, and Christmas with the Cranks. So I think, honestly, upon first glance, I would say you have a stronger list than mine. You got a lot of variety in there and no real weak links, except, like I said, in my opinion, personal take, Bad Santa and Christmas with the Cranks, not a fan of either. And I haven't seen Krampus, and there's a bunch of these movies I haven't seen, but I know they're well liked, and that's gonna be a good mass appeal. I took quite a few risky picks here. Holiday special, like Guardians of the Galaxy. What am I doing?
Let's be honest too. Like Clouds should honestly be in the top 4. Like in terms of quality, Clouds belongs like up there. Like I didn't even know if you would have had that movie. Like I wasn't sure where to put Clouds. Like it will be a classic. It's that good, guys. Like you need to watch it if you haven't. So I think having that in the 9th spot was like the steal of the century. But I didn't even know if you had seen it or.
Yep.
Yeah, Clouds is solid.
Yep, agreed. It's like drafting Tage Thompson in the 7th round in a fantasy hockey league, right? Shout out Big Al. But yeah,
right.
Great pick. So we did get quite a few listener submissions on posed a poll of what is the definitive best Christmas movie out there. So the votes came in hot. So the options presented were Elf, Home Alone, Christmas Vacation, and then The Santa Claus, Die Hard, or Other. You only get the option to put 4. So I put those two to start, and then Other. So Elf garnered 38% of the votes.
Wow.
Home Alone got 19%. Christmas Vacation got 6%. And then that Other category got 38% as well. So in between and most people who chose Other did actually submit via direct message what their specific movie was. So Elf ultimately was the one that got the most votes because the Other was diluted between different movies. So I'll just read what the people who submitted Other, what they said. So my cousin Dylan, actually this is hilarious, I'm starting off with him. So our last guest, Dylan Deschamps, his was Christmas with the Cranks. So that was his pick.
Awesome. Dylan knows what's up.
He said it's underrated, but Elf is also a go-to, so that's maybe another vote for Elf in there.
Sweet.
So then former guest Kilson Ud also said Christmas Shoes. Never heard of this movie. Said it's really sad but super cute. Have you heard of this, Matt? Christmas Shoes?
Nope. Never heard of it.
Okay. The homie Jeff Lavoie, coworker of mine, he said, I love Elf, but I have to go with the first Santa Claus. Classic movie, great pick,
solid.
Jeff. Then the next one was from our, Dylan's brother, also my cousin Dan Deschamps, former guest as well. He said Bad Santa for sure. So the 2 picks of yours that I disliked, my 2 cousins loved. That's their favorite. So you guys are all on the same page here, Matt.
Nice.
Next was from the homie Sabrina. She said Elf, no question. And then in order, Home Alone, Love Actually, and the new animated Grinch. So I guess the Benedict Cumberbatch one. And then The Holiday. So specifically in that order. So good list. And then my mom submitted Home Alone, but also voted for Elf. So it was tough to decide between the two. Kind of like me with taking the first overall pick. So on the same page there, I went with Home Alone ultimately. So yeah, those were the people who submitted answers directly. And then could list off all the people who voted, but we'd be here all night. So thank you everybody for the submissions and participating in the poll. Always love that. So yeah, no, great draft, Matt. I mean, Christmas season is in full effect. I do want to recommend, I haven't seen this yet, but what also kind of spawned the idea about Christmas movie draft is that there's a new age, what's being revered as a classic out in theaters right now. It's called The Holdovers. So it's a Christmas movie. It's a Christmas movie anyway, so what people are saying. Starring Paul Giamatti. Yeah. So apparently this is very good. If you have a chance to go see it in theaters, definitely recommend. I haven't seen it, but I'm going to try to get some time to sneak out to the theater and check that one out. Have you seen it, Matt?
I have not. I'm a big fan of the director, though, Alexander Payne. He's had some misses, but his highs are very high. Like, the movie Election with Reese Witherspoon, the movie Sideways with Paul Giamatti and Thomas Hayden Church.
Oh, okay.
Hilarious. And he's had like some heavy hitters and he's had some misses, but even his misses are well made. And if the buzz is real, then yeah, I'm expecting one of his highs again. So I'm excited.
Nice. So yeah, that'd be it, I guess, for the Christmas segment of this episode. So the lengthy majority of our episode. You want to get into some random recommendations, Matt?
Yeah, I have a couple movies. I'll just start it off with, on Disney Plus, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Nice.
I did not like the fourth Indiana Jones movie. I thought it was garbage. I've only seen it the one time. This movie was back to the old stuff, like the old good stuff of Indiana Jones. I really enjoyed it. Yes, there's some really stupid fake ass like plot holes, and you gotta like believe all this like the fantasy elements in the movie, and an 80-year-old man doing all this stuff too. But you know what? Who cares? It's Harrison Ford. This movie was fun as hell, and I was not bored, even though it's an hour, like 2 hours and 40 minutes. Cool historical angle too in the movie. My only critique is the de-aging they did on Harrison Ford for some of the movie. It was very noticeable, in my opinion. It looked like a video game. But my mom had no idea it was digital de-aging, so like maybe it did work. Like you said, it looked good. So super fun adventure movie. Maz Mikkelsen, great bad guy, always has been, always will. Fun movie, Eric. Have you seen it?
So I actually started it the other day. I watched like the first 50 minutes. It was a bit late. I actually just watched The Santa Claus before, so was pushing it and starting another movie there, especially one of that length, like you said. But no, I was really into it from what I saw. So I think where I cut off was around, like there's the subway horse chase scene is kind of where I stopped watching.
Yeah.
A bit ridiculous at times, let's be honest here, folks.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? You know what you're signing up for. And I like the Indiana Jones franchise. I think it's a cool world of having like an archaeologist and, like you said, the historical stuff in there and the fantastical that they have too. So it's really good stuff. I'm gonna finish it tonight actually. So I'm looking forward to finishing that up and seeing what my take of it at the end is. I didn't hate Kingdom of the Crystal Skull when I saw it in theaters, but then I've seen it a few times since then, and it's really not that great. It didn't age well, and yeah, rightfully so, is listed as like one of the worst of that franchise by far.
Yeah.
That's when Shia LaBeouf was just like on his run and like looked like he was the promised son of Hollywood and just popping up everywhere, and then just lost it all. But no, good recommendation, Matt. I like it. Movies for me, I am getting back in the movie game. Like there's quite a few that I have on my radar to go see in theaters. Like I said, The Holdovers would be a blind recommendation. I talked about Bottoms earlier in the episode. That's another 2023 movie, comedy on Prime Video. Really funny stuff. It's how I'd describe it as like they make outright references to it in the movie. It's like a fight club, but all female led. It's really different. Like it's high school as well, so it's a coming of age, I guess, flip on girls wanting to empower themselves through a fight club and to create some solidarity among themselves within the school. That's really driven by like the football stars run the show at the school. So there's a lot more to it than that. There's like there's a lot of like just classic high school stuff in there as well. So I don't want to give too much away, but it was a really funny movie actually. Definitely recommend. What I want to recommend though is something that for me it just appeared out of nowhere that this movie was getting a bit of hype. Definitely different, but strong recommend. It's a Japanese movie called Godzilla -1. If you've heard of this movie, you know that it's getting really good reviews. It's Godzilla, right? Like it's in the title. It's a monster movie. But like I said, it's a foreign film. It's all in Japanese. There's subtitles. I actually missioned it out to Canada to go see it because it wasn't playing in theaters in Orleans. I went alone. And very, very, very good movie. So it's not like these monster movies that you see made by the American studios where you're rooting for Godzilla, where there's like another monster and it's Godzilla, take down Mothra, take down King Ghidorah or whatever his name is. This is like, no, Godzilla is a bad dude. You're not a fan of Godzilla in this movie. It's the humans are fighting for their lives against this creature,
Mm-hmm.
and like I saw you read my review on Letterboxd, Matt. Like there's some jaw-dropping moments in this movie, and it's rated PG-13 too. So the amount of fear they're able to instill in you as an audience member about Godzilla in that like PG-13 realm, which I have been critical about in the past, really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made me want to watch more like foreign movies. Honestly, like the way it's filmed is so different. It just has I can't even describe it. It just feels different when it's I don't know, a different country behind the wheel. So it's playing in a lot more theaters. They just increased the availability of this movie to 2,500 extra theaters in North
Wow.
America. So that's just based on the reception it's getting, and it's doing really well, like at the box office too, like numbers wise. So I would go as far as to say absolute must see in theaters. Like, if you end up seeing this movie down the
Wow.
line at home, I'm sure it'll hit. I'm looking forward to watching it again. But in theaters, it was an experience. So strong recommend.
Wow. Might have to take my mother to it because we both love. I mean, we're both big movie lovers, but I honestly hadn't heard about it until you messaged me to ask me to go see it with you, Eric. And when I read your review, I was like, "Oh shit!" Like that was not the movie to miss because it was amazing. Japan has been making amazing movies for like over 100 years. Like they're an amazing film industry. I love Japanese movies. 3 4 years ago, they made a Godzilla movie called Shin Godzilla, and it was all political and more about like the repercussions and the humanistic side of things and the political. There's a lot of political stuff in there, critiques on Japan, critiques on the US, critiques on how people handle situations, and it was a freaking amazing movie. And I've heard that this movie here, Godzilla Minus One, is even better than that last Shin Godzilla movie. So I'm super pumped to watch it. I read your review. I can't wait to watch it. I love Japanese films, and they put out quality product. Yeah, I'm very excited to watch the movie. Eric, didn't even know, it wasn't even on my radar till you brought it up in that text message, and I've been reading nothing but praise for it. It's super highly rated. So yeah, thanks for going out there watching and reporting it to the masses, praising it.
Yeah, no, I've been talking about it to a lot of people, which I feel like they're fed up with hearing me talk about Godzilla Minus One. So guaranteed not the last time I'll bring it up on the pod, but after that I'll stop. So go see it in theaters, like I said. But yeah, no. So you've seen Shin Godzilla. Okay, I was wondering, do you have it actually? Like, I would love to see it if you somehow have it or just saw it.
I'll take a look. I
something.
might have it. I don't remember if I own it, honestly. I'll go look at my parents' place. So most of my movies are there.
Okay.
I might own it. Or I'll try to find like some. Yeah, I'll lend it to you.
Okay, if you have any Japanese movies, like now this has just made me want to see more. And obviously, like I've watched anime stuff this year, so I have been very into like their content over the anime medium and now in a live action movie. So if you have any like strong recommends, especially that you have, I would definitely take them for a spin in the old Blu-ray box. So anyone out there who has some foreign film recommendations, I know you've passed me some in the past, Matt. So now I'm really more into it again. So let me know.
Good. Yeah, Japan and South Korea are just slaying it with quality of movies in the last 20 years, longer than that. So I'll take a look at what I got, Eric.
Okay.
I got one more movie to talk about, and that's it. This is a very hard movie to watch. Kind of upsetting, but I kind of liked it at the same time. This is the Netflix, maybe original, Netflix original, May December, starring Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore. Now, the reason I watched this movie is the director, Todd Haynes, has made 3 amazing movies, in my opinion. 2 of them with Julianne Moore. A movie called Safe from 1995, a movie called Far From Heaven from 2004, and then he made a movie with Cate Blanchett and Rooney Mara called Carol in like 2015 maybe. Those 3 movies to me are like masterpieces. I love them. So I had to check out his new movie, May December. Super hard subject matter in the movie. I'm just warning people, like, I'm never going to rewatch this movie again, even though I really liked it. Just the themes in the movie and what the subject matter is. I'm not going to say what it is on the podcast. You can read up on it, but like, it's very taboo subject and it's kind of icky. And Natalie Portman's great in the movie, phenomenal. She like keeps you interested. She's like the main person you're following. Basically Natalie Portman's a famous actress in the movie, and she's going to be playing Julianne Moore, who's had a huge tragic thing happen in her life, or tragic, or more like shocking thing happen. And it's just a dark drama and a character-driven drama. Not a fast-paced movie, not super action-oriented at all. Okay. I really liked it though. It was super quiet and like thought-provoking. I kind of wanted to see a little bit more. I think I only gave it 3.5 stars on Letterboxd, but like it was really good. Like it makes you think, and it's upsetting, but like in a compelling way where you just have to keep watching. So that's May, December. Okay. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've seen a few people be reviewing it lately on Letterboxd there, so it's been on the in the queue, I guess, if you will. Okay, so then I had no idea like what the tone of the movie was. I just saw like the poster for it. I'm like, all right, Natalie Portman, Julianne Moore. Okay, it looks like a fun time, maybe. Who knows? But it does not sound like that is the case. But all right, good stuff. Movie for me, I think that's pretty much it. I fired off the recommendations. There's, like I said, there's a few others I want to see. Like I want to see the new Hunger Games movie. The Songbird and the Snake, I want to say, Ballad of the Songbird and Snake. Speaking of bird-related movies, The Boy and the Heron, also on my radar to see that soon. So we'll report back at some point. And again, I'm on my next book now. I'm reading The Alchemist, actually, by Paulo Coelho, which is a pretty famous book. I'm like halfway through right now, really enjoying it. It's not exactly what I thought it would be. I didn't really have a notion, a preconception of like, okay, it's an alchemist and he goes on a journey to find treasure, basically. And I thought it would be like kind of in Machu Picchu for some reason, and we're really going over to Egypt, which for me is prime time. Like I love that setting. I find it super cool, and just the journey the character goes on is really interesting. Like his growth and seeing new things in the world. And meeting new people opens his eyes to like different religions and ideologies for how one can value success in life. So a lot of good life lessons in that movie. And even the author said like that he loves rereading his own book, and that in different points in his life he picks up on different things that he wrote about 35 years ago, and that like, wow, like I didn't even see how when I wrote this it would mean this at this point where I'm at now, like with kids and stuff. And like just I know obviously when you have kids and stuff it changes their perception on life, but it is interesting to see like an author talk about their own work in that way and how impactful it is. And I know that it's a book that a lot of people say is like, oh, it changed my life, and it's my favorite book. So I'm glad I got a hold of it in the library. So definitely recommend The Alchemist.
Yeah, this book has legendary status, I'd say. Like it's ultra famous, and I'm glad it's not another Crimes and Punishment situation where this one lived up to the hype. So that's awesome, Eric.
It's a short book. It's like under 200 pages, which in some cases can be too short. But in this case, I'm finding like the story moves along quickly. There's a lot of time jumps too, but done in a way that's not like House of the Dragon style, where like chapter to chapter, we're like, okay, now it's 15 years down the line or whatever. So I'm enjoying how they're telling the story in this one, following the shepherd.
Sweet.
So it's good stuff. That would be all I have to recommend. I don't really have much else on the plate to share.
Yeah, I got nothing else.
Okay. So this is going to be our last episode for the year. Just going to let the listeners know that we will not be releasing an episode on Christmas Day, as would be the schedule. So this is our Merry Christmas in advance. Figured it was seasonally correct to do our Christmas movie episode. You have time to hear our picks and maybe throw on a Christmas with the Cranks, a Klaus, a Little Women, any of the others, you know. So we, but we have a lot of stuff lined up for the 2024 season. So episode 126, which we'll figure out what order we want to drop, like our top 10s of 2023. So TV show, rap albums, and movies, which I actually don't hate that order, to be honest. But we'll see what we want to do, and then see if we can have some guests for a few of those as well.
Yeah.
Normally tend to link up with Brandon for hip-hop episodes, so we'll see if he's available for that as well. And yeah, for some diversity in movies and TV shows, it might be fun to have someone else in there too. So
Oh, for sure.
yeah, I mean that would be all I would have to announce in terms of what's coming up, and then yeah, for the year. So big thanks to everyone who's listened along this year. Love hearing from the people, and I hope you all have a fantastic holiday season. So Matt, great episode as per usual. Any final notes for the listeners?
Yeah, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you to everyone who submitted a movie for the Christmas, for this episode. And Merry Christmas to everyone. Hope you're having time off work right now, like in the coming days and the coming weeks, and enjoy your holidays. And I'm really looking forward to the episodes in January, the top 10 list. So look forward to that, guys.
Yep. Well said, Matt. So yeah, like I said earlier, thanks a lot everybody for everything this year. Always appreciate the feedback, the listens, the comments, the sharing to the new listeners, old listeners. Appreciate you all. Love you all. Hope you all have an amazing winter break, and yeah, peace.